What up, guys? CP the Tool Addict. Woo! Oh, you know that devious laugh when you hear it is going to be fantastic, right? Well, today we're going to do some of my worst tools for 2023, a little Cat Williams and Sean Strickland style. Now, I guess I shouldn't say I'm going to do it exactly that style, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be as modest as possible, but I'm definitely going to express my feelings about the gist. Yeah, let's get into the video. Come on, let's just check it out. You guys can hear it from there. Get into the video. Let's get going. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you some of the tools I bought. There's like 10 or 12 that I bought this year that I'm pretty dissatisfied with. And then I want to kind of express some feelings I have towards the companies themselves and just the general feeling of what's going on as far as social media and just the blatant, just ass kissing. That's what it is. Just blatant ass kissing from people who just want to get free shit, and they cannot seem to, everything they post or talk about is always positive. Now listen, I'm a mechanic. I'm grumpy. I'm angry. That's how it goes. Okay? You can go out to almost any shop. You're going to find guys that are not always happy. Everybody has bad days. So, you know, more or less, let's get into the video, and we're going to kind of just we're going to just get right in the pants of some of this stuff. All right, we're going to fire away on the Hazet Hipper ratchet I bought this year. First of all, I really wanted to love Hazet stuff, and I think there is some place for it. Now, keep in mind, if you're going to get butthurt about any of this stuff that I'm saying, you know what, I got no time for it. I'm not going to lie to you. I really, it's just me expressing my opinions, and I think that there should be some fair value in conversation from people. But if you're going to come into the comments just running your pie catcher and just get angry because you can't accept my opinion, I mean, you ought to just go get counseling. That's all there is to it. These are tools, guys. We are blue-collar people, and we should be supporting each other. And I highly recognize that people think that I'm not supportive of blue-collar people because I, rip on some people. But they're not blue-collar. They're not normal blue-collar people, okay? Blue-collar people are the people that are working out there every day that don't get doing their job, getting work done, paying their bills, and nobody's giving them a pat on the back. That's what the problem is what I don't like about this whole social media salesman-type garbage. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, the Hazet ratchet, nonetheless, I really wanted to like it. First of all, the build quality of the ratchet is kind of nice. It's not terrible. I do like the build quality. I love the handle on it, but the back drag was terrible. I really just wasn't that impressed with it overall. I think for the money, there's a lot better options on the market. I mean, they're basically breaching into tool truck price for a ratchet that doesn't meet the standards that I would agree with, if I'm being honest. That's the biggest problem that I had with Hazet. Not only that, Hazet does a lot of rebranding, and a lot of people think they don't, and then you have to argue with them in the comment section about it, and it's just ridiculous. And I really just don't understand the thing. A lot of their stuff was, I've seen stuff come up that was gear wrench. It said gear wrench right on their own stuff, and Hazet is just, I think they have value in some things, but I think for us in the States, it honestly doesn't meet for what you can find a lot of good stuff out there. Next thing I'm disappointed of is the Channel Lock GL pliers. I really wanted to like these pliers. I like the angle of them. They basically took a Cobra plier and twisted the head on it. But these little short deals right there were just, they don't have enough meat on the bones, and they kind of don't clip in right. I don't know. They grip decent. They work okay sometimes. Not my favorite plier, honestly. I really liked wanting to use them, but They didn't. Now, Channel Lock, I haven't really seen anything from Channel Lock as far as a company that's really making me too uneasy about what they're doing. They offered me one set of pliers. I took it, and that's really been all that I've heard from them. They're really crickets. I got to tell you, the USA companies are just not on board with the social media content, and that is a big problem. I do understand that social media content with YouTube creators and influencers is definitely a good thing to have, but the fabric of it itself is getting ruined by these jackasses that just want to say nice things all the time. And quite frankly, it's getting old. I don't want to, and I don't watch a bunch of tool reviews, but I've seen things and people have said things to me, and I'm just like, take it for whatever you want to. Even you can take my advice wherever you want to. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I just give my opinions, and that's all I can do. But I want to be fair to everybody, and be fair, that means that everything's not okay. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with it is you hear all these guys' stuff. Everything is 100% positive. Oh, yeah, this is great. I paid for it, blah, blah, blah. The lies after lies just keep coming. All right. Next thing, obviously, you guys should know the RBRT bolt extractors came out this year. I have the bolt extractors. I've had them. And we're going to do a video about my overall worst tools. I'm going to do another video about my absolute worst tools that I can't stand coming up. I'm going to get in the toolbox. We're going to go through all the toolboxes, and I'm going to show you everything that absolutely irritates me that I bought. A lot of this stuff irritates me that I bought this. The channel locks, not so bad. These, absolutely terrible. I honestly, the gear wrench bolt biters and the Astro or the Matco ones, much better sockets. Honestly, for the money I paid for them, I'm not disappointed with their performance. But these things are absolutely a joke. They're huge, which they're the older styles. The newer ones are thinner, but RBRT is honestly, the only thing good from them is the hex and Torx bits. They work fantastic, so don't get that misconstrued. When I'm saying that, I'm just saying that everything else that they came out with is pretty subjective, in my opinion, including the wrenches. The wrenches work great, but they're not a wrench you use every day, so that means you're spending an extra $150 to $300, depending on who you buy them from, for a set of extra wrenches. And when I go to spend extra money on something, that means it better be affordable. So I bought the wrenches for $150 through online, which I think was a smart move because I'm never going to use them that much. I tried using them every day. It was frustrating. Next thing is the tight reach extension clamp. Now, I'm not extremely frustrated with this, but I am disappointed when I bought this, and then I bought the handy clamp. Both of these are Iowa companies. Okay, I have no problem with tight reach or, tight reaches. The problem is that they were making them in Iowa at one time, and the company decided to outsource to China, which is pretty much a common theme with everything nowadays. I mean, and granted, there's a lot of people out there, I think, that really don't care anymore, because I can tell just by the comments and whatnot. I personally was disappointed after getting the handy clamp how much better quality it was made, just being manufactured in America, once again, by somebody who actually cares about, that has standards. So the extension clamp from Tight Reach was a joke, in my opinion. Once I got the handy clamp, I was like, wow, you could see a huge difference. Next thing was, recently I just bought this Duratech ratchet for $25. And I did a video on it, and then I was using it. And not only did I barely use it, but I put it on a bolt to break it loose, and it already exploded the paw inside of the ratchet. And when I pulled it apart, I lost all the parts right away because I didn't know it was going to come flying out. I lost the check ball and the spring, which irritated me even more. But just the sloppy quality of this was just a joke. And once again, proving to me that even though Duratech seems to have some things that are good, it's very subjective, and you have to keep an eye on everything that you buy from them, because it's just an absolute struggle. When that's the problem when I buy a tool. I want to know I can go to a company that I can have some sort of security, knowing that what I'm buying from them is absolutely, well, it's not absolutely, but it is at a good enough quality that I won't have to worry about it within the first use. This was just unacceptable, and I am bitter about buying this. Now, Duratec is a company. I really don't think that they're. I mean, granted, once again, we're talking about a Chinese company. Great Star owns them. There's some qualities that I find that Great Star is offering that I think will be acceptable for American brands. I gotta say this with a very heavy heart. Am I happy with Great Star? But no. Have they done anything to really annoy me? No, they haven't. As far as what they're building, it seems like it's much far better quality than most Chinese stuff out there. If that makes sense. Once again, I am CP the Tool Addict, and I have to reassure people that everything that I do on this channel doesn't reflect everything that I do in my personal life, but is to also help everybody. People that are looking to make these choices on a budget, but get a real honest opinion of something and not just some inflated, some screwball that's talking about things that has no idea what he's even talking about. And I know some people say, well, you don't even know what you're talking about. Hey, whatever, that's fine. If you don't think I know what I'm talking about, then why are you here? That's all I got to say. You just follow me to hate, so if you're a hater, you're a fan. That's all there is to it. You can say what you want, but you're watching me, so there you go. Nana boo-boo. Stick your head in doo-doo. All right, the next thing, you guys haven't seen these yet, but I have purchased these for $69.48. And here is a live shot, I guess. But absolutely just the worst. I mean, when you talk about spending $70 on something, that's $70. And I realize I looked at perspective of maybe spending $70 before as not being a big thing, but for most people, that's actually a huge thing. As I look at things from a broader perspective, I see that somebody spending $70 on something, that might be a big deal for them during the week. And this is absolutely one of those deals. Chinese made tubing wrenches, and now I see Matco's coming out with these, and I gotta wonder, how much they're gonna charge. I haven't even seen a price on them yet, but these things are so sloppy. First of all, if you look, well, I guess you can't. You're gonna have to wait for the video on them, but they're gonna be a terrible tool for sure. I don't know. The company that's building them, I actually don't know, but I bought them off the website. I bought them off the Temu website, which Temu is absolutely just god-awful in all retrospects. Just please don't buy anything from Temu. What an absolute horrible place to even get involved in. Spamming, then just everything they do is just, it's terrible. I mean, that company is just shit. Period. Just stay away from them. That's all I can tell you. Just stay away from them. When it says app only, that means they're trying to get you suckered in. I don't even remember what it said on there. It's so generic, it doesn't even give you a name on there. And they're just not good. The next thing is not a tool that I necessarily bought, but just a recent thing that came up that I posted was the ugliest ratchet on the planet. Now, I see a lot of people always sucking off Vim, and I think it's hilarious. Because, Vim has they have their thing, and I don't want to talk bad about them because Lewis is I respect the owner of Vim a ton, even though he doesn't know me, but I do have a ton of respect for him, and I think what they're trying to do is good, but I think they're missing the mark. I really do, in my opinion. As far as being a tool company that sets themselves apart from other tool companies, I just don't think Vim can do it. I don't think they're not doing it, in my opinion. Making something look slightly different, but using these god-awful screwdriver handles. And not only that, basically, if you overlay these on the Pittsburgh nut drivers, I mean, is that not the same handle from 1980s? I don't know why they chose this style of handle, and I'm not trying to pick on Vim. There's no grudge with me against Vim. I'm just being honest. I think they deserve the honesty, and I hope they appreciate the honesty. The upside of it is that they can look at doing something different moving forward, and I think there's a lot of people that should have that same opinion. Don't be afraid to tell somebody how something is, because if we all go around saying something nice all the time, we're never going to get anywhere. In order to improve, we have to be able to give constructive criticism and give something in a manner that's understandable so people can understand. I think I see some quality and some things in Vim that are definitely top of their class, but just like every tool company too, I guess. Every tool company, has their follies, I guess. That's just it. I'm not trying to pick on them and say they're the ones that are terrible. It's every tool company has their shortcomings. You know what I mean? So let's get off that, because, man, I mean, it's uncanny. I mean, look at these things. For $9.99, you could make a whole lot of screwdriver or ratchet handles. I'm just saying. I go buy those and put them on a bunch of ratchets and have Vim ratchets. I'm joking, okay? It is what it is. Take it or leave it. Love it or like it. All right, the next thing is the recent enlightenment that I got from these Klein Tools pliers. Now, I made a video. Kind of rushed through the video. Basically, my main focus on the video was to talk about Klein working with other companies, okay? Klein Classics, made in Germany. I really thought, these are a pretty decent plier, but $50 for the pair. And I assumed they were Knipex. My bad for being ignorant, okay? That's honest me. That was on me, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with admitting that I was wrong. I didn't put two and two together and should have done a little bit of more research, but I wasn't really intentionally trying to talk about that. Basically, I was trying to give Klein props for what they were doing when they were going to outsource with a better company. But lo and behold, I didn't know that they were going to be working with NWS. So once I had that brought to my attention, I started to inspect them closer and noticed the obvious casting flaws. Well, actually, it wasn't casting flaws. It's like their coating or something they put on it. I was able to scrape a little bit off, but, I mean, this is just horrible quality control. And I'll be honest with you, NWS has not impressed me. If I had to they're not even the Harbor Freight of German tools, in my opinion. A lot of people got upset in the comment box when I said that NWS doesn't impress me. You know what? Take a hike, Mike. I really don't care. NWS, if they're putting out shit like this, what exactly do they have to offer me? I mean, Knipex, first of all, is using a better forging process. NWS is using a obviously terrible process. I don't care what anybody says. It's pretty obvious. The proof is in the pudding right here. A pictures are worth 1,000 words, and that absolutely shows that, and I don't get me wrong. There's some things from Knipex I don't like neither. I've never been a fan of my needle nose pliers from them and my cutters. But the Cobra pliers are still high on my list. But I'll be honest with you, the cutters, they don't impress me. Some cutters are better than others. I will say that. But we're not really dogging on that. We'll get into that into another video. All right, the next thing was the Gear Wrench 90 tooth. I got to say I was a little disappointed considering all the hype that I've seen on it. People talking about it being so great and everything else, when the 120 XP was such a better ratchet for pennies more on the dollar, in my opinion. I don't even understand it, especially since the Gear Wrench 120 XP isn't technically a new ratchet. It was new to me, but it's been out for a year, and people are still talking about the 90 tooth. And Gear Wrench is obviously Bain Capital, Apex tool. You guys should know by now my feelings on that is, I'm not a fan of Gear Wrench. They do a lot of dirty shit in the tool industry, a lot of backdoor stuff, and they have a lot of influencers as far as the most on anywhere of people who just basically are chode yodelers. They will smoke a pole for Gear Wrench at any cost. Another huge chode yodeler. Now I have the Artie Dag 800, and that is Top Don. Now I have worked with Top Don, and quite frankly, I have expressed my feelings. They didn't respond back to them. So that's kind of my problems. But the biggest thing is that Top Don basically lied and said that they had auto off. Now, some of you might not care about this, but right here, according to the AES Wave site, it unavailable at this time, will return at a yet to determined date. Top Don Phoenix Light 2. Now, if you don't understand what that means, well, that means that you have to buy a Chrysler bypass connector in order to do that. And so you don't have gateway access. It's an absolute pain in the ass. Meaning that you can't program keys. And for somebody like me who does a lot of programming, keys, it's kind of a big deal. And I was very upset because I was told otherwise. And not only that, there was a lot of YouTubers that said that too, which really means that they don't know what they're talking about. And quite frankly, when I asked them, everybody said the same thing. Oh yeah, it works fine. I guess some of us that really work on cars, we really have to put up with this all the time anyways, because salesmen do the same thing. And that's my problem with salesmen. They always just want to make the sale. So, hence the reason the companies are actually pushing these influencers to basically become their salesmen for them, and they're just nothing but corporate puppets. And thus, we have the same thing that we've always had. Used car salesmen everywhere selling snake oil. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not always right. And I don't claim to be or want to be right all the time. But I think that my general thought process and be able to go through, and I'm trying to keep myself directly aligned with something. So I don't want to, I mean, you can call me a hypocrite if you want, but I'm not. I'm just an honest guy, and I really don't want to lead anybody down a rabbit hole. I personally take responsibility for something that is not good. I always have. When I was a tool salesman, I did the same thing. If something was bad, I felt bad. If I sold somebody a wrong product, I felt that, because to me, it's personal. I don't want to leave anybody out there. Now, you're always going to have people that are just going to complain. So the 5%ers, 1%ers, whatever you want to call them, you kind of got to just deal with it. There's some people, if I get a mass exodus of people doing it, well, by God, then I know something's really wrong. But the next tool is the Icon pliers. Now, quite frankly, that was another anarchy of people that lost their mind over this. The Harbor Freight fanboys. I don't understand, for the life of me, why anybody would actually need these pliers. The Knipex twin grips are literally not that much more, and a hell of a lot better plier for a screw extractor plier, in my opinion. I already had the snap-on, so I didn't need this. So when I got them, I was hoping to find something that was going to be enlightening, but in all reality, I really didn't. And they're just a cheaper made pair of pliers that weren't as well made. So since I'd already owned the snap-ons and I wasn't going to be able to return those for the money, why keep the Icons? Not really a disappointment, but this leads me into my other thing. The Harbor Freight people that constantly say things for views. Harbor Freight is just an absolute gold mine on YouTube, and it gets overused so much. I know there's going to be 5 guys that are going to be like, well, CP, didn't you just do a Harbor Freight video? Of course I did. Because I do that because there's people that would like to know an honest opinion. And quite frankly, I hope I saved somebody $20 of spending it on these pliers, and they put it towards some pliers that were more useful. Because these aren't really useful, in my opinion. I don't know why Harbor Freight made these, but once again, bad intel and a bunch of people giving bad information just puts another pile of junk in your toolbox that you're never going to use. Christ, I never used mine. So why believe these guys? I mean, for Christ's sake, the Den of Fools is the #1 person that has absolutely wasted more people's money on YouTube, I can promise you, buying junk from Harbor Freight than anybody in the entire world. And yet somehow people still believe that guy. Unbelievable to me. Don't even understand it. He doesn't care about your money. All he cares about is his views, like the majority of people do. Now, I understand being too personal and whatnot. I've been told 100 times, forget about it, CP. Don't try to be that way. Well, guess what? I have a heart. I care, which makes me a dickhead, because I personally take responsibility for anything that I do. I know, it's 2024, CP. Why are you taking responsibility? We don't have to take responsibility anymore. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm old school. That's why I'll never have 1 million followers, because that's how I am, Last but not least is our friends over at Snap-on. The 3/8 drive 100 tooth ratchet. Now, I have checked this out a couple times, and yet you've never seen one on my channel. I was going to get one of these, and honestly, the more and more I hear from people, even after my own opinions were that I wasn't impressed with it, this is the ratchet I wanted to get, and I don't think you'll ever see one on my channel. I honestly don't think you'll ever see one, because I've seen floppy heads. I've seen I know that the black drag feels terrible. Why would I want to put something like this in my toolbox that really is a worse product than they've ever put out before. Yes, there's at times I do start to believe that Snap-on's slipping in some things. But when you're talking about one ratchet, that's really kind of a minor oversight. They make thousands of tools. Yes, thousands. In one of the 7 factories that are in the United States, despite the con men of the internet that try to keep saying they don't. But there's also us that like to joke around and say that, oh yeah, Harbor Freight, Snap-on, all the Snap-ons made by Harbor Freight. But nonetheless, this is by far one of Snap-on's biggest epic fails, in my opinion, and I don't even understand how they're even still selling these. They need to pull these things back immediately. Whatever they have done here, I think they have really shit the bed, and I mean that with no respect to them. Snap-on does have some tools that absolutely suck, but at the price tag that they're selling these for and the quality that's out on it, I mean, I almost put this one down there below some of the worst ratchets that I've ever seen. I just have no desire. My 88 tooth ratchets are a mountains better, in my opinion, than the 100 tooth. And even to do a video on it and have one, not worth it. Not worth it, just because I don't need another ratchet. And second of all, I don't need to make a video about it. That's my honest to God's truth. I really could care less. And that's kind of my new thoughts or process now. I mean, I have a Snap-on digital multimeter that I absolutely don't enjoy a lot. In fact, the $600 price tag, which is almost $200 cheaper than what it is now, that I paid for it, still irritates me that I had to put fluke leads on it, because the leads that came with it are absolutely garbage for that kind of money. And there's a lot of things about Snap-on that I don't like, but there is a lot of tools that I do like. And we're going to go over that in the next video as a whole and talk about some other things, but you're getting a little taste of my exact feelings about some of the tools that I bought this past year that I really can't stand. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it a little bit interesting. Try to keep the negativity to a very minimum, but do understand I am concerned about what I do, and I do care about what I do quite a bit. I have a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and a lot of just knowledge that I've had over the years that I would like to share and pass on to people and help them out. So like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell. Remember, keep your hands dirty and your money clean. Thanks for watching.